Hello, hello, everybody. Today we are going to be sitting in this little cosy autumnal corner with a Halloween tree, because why not? So I'm just going to sit here and do my pre-bed things. So I will be doing my diary and my to-do list, and I'm just going to talk through the process of doing these things, but I'll also just let you listen to writing sounds and stuff like that. It's just super chill. I might put some, give you some organisational things that I do so that you can implement them in your own life if you choose to, but otherwise it's just gonna be very chill, just talking you through what I'm doing. And yeah, so let's begin. So the first thing we have, my diary, and you can barely see it, but it says 1 line a day. A 5-year memory book. I've got a bit of a new sound set up, so I hope the levels are okay. So, this is my 3rd year using this book, and it is just what it says on the tin. You get 5 spaces on each page, and each page represents a day, or a date specifically, and then you just write the year where it says to write it. So at the top it will have the date, and then you just write in one of the boxes. See if we can get it to focus. There we go. So this is how much space you get. You get one of these per year, so there are 5 slots on each page. And as I said, I'm in year 3. A lot of people use these to write down inspirational quotes, I think, or just small thoughts they've had through the day. Maybe use it as like a mood journal, but I use it as like writing down the main aspects of my day, just as a sort of memory book. You might be able to hear my guinea pig slightly. She's just over there and she's enjoying her dinner, so you might be able to hear that, but yes. So I'm just going to fill this in for today. So, and I have to remember today. What did I do today? Okay. what often happens, and what's happened today, is I've written it slightly too big, and I only have a few more things to say, so I'm just going along the margins of the paper just to the left of where I should be writing, so that I don't take up any space for the next year or the previous year. I just put it in the margins. If there's ever anything else that I need to write down. I actually used to, when I first started doing this, I used to write it on my phone first and then edit it until it was the perfect length and then put it in my diary. But I just don't do that anymore. I don't mind if it's a little messy, it's just for me. There we go, perfect. That's all done for today. That's it. So the reason I use such a small diary to sort of journal in, like I use it as my journal, is because I used to have a decent sized journal, just like an oversized notebook kind of situation, and I got a lot out of documenting my thoughts and feelings and stuff. This was a long time ago, but it really, I got a lot out of it. But my problem with it was, in the end, that I wrote too much and it was just taking up way too much time, because I felt like I needed to write down so many random details. So this diary really helps me because it helps to keep me concise and to think about what I actually need to write down from the day, like what stood out. So it's pretty good for just a few quick notes on the day. It gives me, every time I look back through the years, I get a little brief glimpse into that day, and sometimes I just decide to write like quotes of the day that like I thought were fun, or just like specific memories, or it's great. My guinea pig is taking a drink. And I just think it's so much fun to like open a page and be able to see the past however many years that you've done it. Because like the more like mundane days you just forget about, but if you write them down and you can see them, you can go, oh, like this wasn't like a very special day or anything, but I did this or discovered this or whatever it is. I really recommend the 5-year journals. So obviously it's quite a lot of commitment, but I think it's more manageable just because you have such a tiny space to write in each day. Okay, moving on. Next we have this right here. This is my to-do list. So my cousin actually got this for me recently for my birthday. I say recently, semi-recently. And I love it. I love notebooks and I tend to collect them a bit, but I struggle to decide what to write in them a lot of the time. But I immediately, well, almost immediately, had an idea for this, and I turned it into my to-do list. So basically my to-do list before was on my phone, which is obviously perfectly fine, but I try not to go on my phone too much, to be honest, because I end up getting distracted, or I end up doom scrolling or whatever, and it brings me down if I'm not meaning to spend time on my phone. If I then end up spending time on my phone, it just doesn't feel great. And so having my to-do list on my phone was, it was a little bit risky because you can access all the other apps. And so it's handy to have it in a separate place. And also I tend to have YouTube on my phone, which, I watch YouTube as I'm doing things. And so whenever I needed to check the next task I had to tab away from YouTube, which is slightly annoying. So this is perfect. And also I just love writing stuff down, having it physically there. It really works for my brain. So this is amazing, and it's super big. I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. It's a stick, note, take, note, take, note, take, note. Note, read, reflect. So I'm just going to talk you through this. So I usually fill in my to-do list the night before the day when I'm going to be doing the tasks, but I'm actually doing this a few days in advance for reasons that it will take too long to explain. I'm not going to bore you, but yeah, I don't usually do it this long in advance, but it's fine because a lot of the tasks I have to do are things at the moment I have to do daily, and there's a place where I can put things that come up close to the time. But I'll talk about that later. Let's just get started. So I start at the top. This notebook has a place where you can write the date. So I'm just going to write the date here. And then it has a big space at the top, which is where I write the name of the day. So I do usually use my to-do list every day, but for the past few days I basically haven't needed to. Again, it's a long story. But yeah. It's been very, very helpful. And then next to the day, I just do a little doodle. There's no reason for this. I just like to do one. I like to give it the vibes of what I think the day will be. So the vibes for this day, I think, is going to be this. I'm planning to get some letter writing done. So I'm going to basically draw a letter and a quill, even though I actually don't use a quill. But it's very iconic to letter writing, I think. Also drawing an ink pot, which again I don't need. But yeah, just little doodles. I don't really know why I do this. It's just something that I do. Okay, so now I'm going to talk you through my categories, because I separate my to-do list into categories so that I can keep everything I have a lot of things in my mind, and I find it more helpful if they're written down, but the categories are so that it's not overwhelming. so that I know that I don't have to tick every box. There are just some boxes that do need to be ticked. Okay. My guinea pig keeps drinking. If you notice a few cuts, it's because she's being a bit loud, but I'll keep in some of her drinking because why not? It might be quite nice background noise, I'm not sure. Okay, so the first category is called Let's Do This. So let's do this. So this category I use for the things that need to get done either on that day or in the very, very near future. It's usually daily chores that come up, things that I'm always going to need to do pretty much every day, and this day will be no exception, you know? So yeah, it's just where I put things that need to be done. So I'm going to start writing this out. I put a little box so that I can tick the box, and next to it I put the task. And of course all the tasks are separated by the lines in the lined paper. I start with getting dressed and brushing my teeth. Those are two separate tasks, and I know most people don't put these on their to-do list because it's just something that they do, but I found myself really struggling to do these things for quite a few years. You know, things like that, not just those but other things as well, some of which I still write down as well. And I don't struggle with that anymore, but having them on my to-do list is just like, it gives you a sense of productivity, and for me productivity can be quite rewarding, so it's like I get a little burst of productivity and reward very early in my day. You know, I get up, I get dressed, I brush my teeth, and already I've crossed 2 things off my to-do list, and it just feels a lot better than if I didn't put those on my to-do list. I also work from home, so sometimes I think, oh, I could have a pyjama day today, which is fine. Love a pyjama day, but it does make me think, oh, yeah, getting dressed, that'd be nice. I can kind of feel all, I don't know what the word is, but it's just helpful for me to have these on my to-do list, even though I don't struggle to do them anymore. But I definitely recommend putting them on your to-do list, whether you struggle with them or not, because either way it gives you that boost early in your day. So I definitely recommend that. And there are a couple of other things like that I put on here that are just things that obviously I gotta do. Like feeding my guinea pig. I put that on my to-do list twice because with her food it's morning and night. So yeah, I recommend it. I also don't know if I sound a little bit more nasally than usual. I'm just recovering from a cold, but we'll see. So obviously, because I'm doing this a few days in advance, there are some things I don't know if for sure we'll need doing, but I'm pretty sure they will, and if they don't, I can just like cross them out on the day, and I'll have a section where I can talk about why I crossed them out. But again, we're gonna get to that in a bit. I'm jumping ahead of myself. I never do this to-do list this far in advance, so it'll be nice for me come the night before when I'm like, oh, I'm already prepped. I do like to be prepared. I actually really enjoy doing this before bed though. It's really just relaxing and gets me ready for the next day, so that I'm not thinking about what I need to do tomorrow before I go to sleep, because, you know, I find sometimes that I'm just thinking over and over like all the things that need to be done and how I'm going to do them, and this just having it actually written down just is great. But obviously you can write a to-do list in any, like if you want to use your phone for it, that's all good, you know, but just I definitely recommend jotting stuff down before you sleep. I've actually been working on my handwriting to make it neater, but with my to-do list, unless I'm in some sort of mood of, I don't know, being all fancy, I tend to just, I don't really mind how it looks, I just scribble it down as I'm thinking of it, you know. Although, obviously, I have the designs of the categories, so the tasks need to stay under the categories, because that's how I do it. I have like, so there's a line, there's the category, and then the line below the category I have a task, the line below that I have another task, and so on and so forth. Didn't think I already mentioned that, but I'm just trying to make this as easy as possible for you guys to understand. Okay, so I've written down everything that makes up a usual day of things that need to be done. So I'm going to move on to the next category. The next category I have is goals of the day. So this is super simple to do, pretty much no matter how in advance it is, because this is where I tend to put hobbies. I do sometimes put things that aren't hobbies on here, but basically what this is the focus of the day. So yes, I have all these things that I need to do, but I usually put between 1 and 3 things. I've occasionally done 4, but it tends to be between 1 and 3, usually 1 to 2, and it's always things that I really want to do and that I want to make time for, and spend a decent amount of time in that day doing. I suppose this category could be whatever you want or need to focus on, but for me it just tends to be like reading or letter writing or something like that. So yeah, so it's just what I definitely will do on that day that's outside of like chores and work and stuff like that. And I never put things that I won't have time for on that day. I always make sure to put things that I will definitely have time for. So yeah, it's just basically like, I'm doing this today, that's it. So goals of the day, and I write that. So there's let's do this, and then I leave a big gap, but on the same line I write goals of the day. letter writing. Yep, just double checking my previous to-do lists. Okay, great. So I then leave 2 spaces below those tasks, and on the next line below the 2 spaces I write secondary goals if I have time, with a little heart. So this is where I put hobbies that it's a bit of fluff, that I might not have time for, but that are the secondary priority hobbies for me, hobby or hobbies. So in this case, let me just have a look. Yeah, okay. So, in the secondary goals, I'm actually going to put play SSO. So, SSO is Star Stable. Star Stable Online is the full title of the game. And I like to put this because I love gaming, and sometimes I just don't fit it in. But, you know, if I have time, I would like to then prioritise playing that for a little bit. But I might not have time on Monday because it's already looking like a pretty full day with my other hobbies, and I have just remembered something that I need to add to my to-do list. So let me just write that. So, going back over to secondary goals if I have time, below the task, 2 spaces, and on the next line I write priorities. So, priorities are, it tends to be work related, often things that have deadlines I put here. So it's basically a task that will probably take me a few days, weeks, months, or something that is ongoing, sort of it goes away and then reappears. But yeah, it just tends to be work related stuff, where I put priorities for what I need to do next. So I'm going to write that down. And then if it does have a deadline, I put a hyphen, and then I put the deadline day and actually highlight it with this, well, it looks very pinky. It is pink, but it's kind of reddish. It's a pastel red, but I actually think it's called like pink blush or something. Anyway, I highlight the deadline itself, not the whole task, just the deadline, so that my eye is drawn to it. Okay, so leaving the normal amount of space that I've been telling you about, below priorities I then put something I just call notes. So, this is kind of where I tend to put the time I've woken up, and then throughout the day, I will update it with thoughts on the day, why I haven't done certain tasks, or if I've forgotten to put tasks on there or something comes up, I do use it as like a secondary let's do this, so I just put whatever tasks need doing there, and it just acts the same as my let's do this category. But yeah, basically here I just put anything I need to. Sometimes I just decide to write about how I'm feeling or what's going on in the day, or just getting some thoughts onto paper really. It kind of all depends, but just I can use that for anything and everything, which is great. Going back to the left side of the page, underneath let's do this, I have a category called other possible hobbies. So these are the hobbies that I'm not prioritising, but that I don't want to forget about, because if I'm ever looking for something to do for even like 5 minutes, I can look over at my to-do list and see all the things that I could do. So I just write down every day all the things, and I still put the boxes next to them, because if I decide to do them, I can tick them and look back and see how long it was since I last did that and whether I might want to prioritise it. It also helps me for doing my diary in the evening, because I can see exactly what I've done. So I will just write down my other possible hobbies. That's everything. Perfect. So this is my final category, and I doubt any of you will use this, but I will tell you about it anyway. So my final category I have is my show slash podcast slash YouTube rota. Basically, I was having this problem where I would start a watch or a rewatch of a show or whatever, and then I'd get to a certain point, I'd forget about it, I'd drop it for about a year, come back to it, completely forgotten where I was, and need to restart it again. So I created a rota so that I could watch everything equally, and it's sort of been working. It worked really well at the start, and then I got into a bit of a phase of watching a very specific YouTuber, and I just binged all of their videos. But I'm getting back into it now, and I am enjoying actually watching the things on my watch list. Basically, the issue is I watch a lot of stuff with my wife, and so I kind of forget to watch things that I'm not watching with her. It's basically the issue. But this rota really helps. So I write down every day all the things and in the order and everything. So let me just do that quickly. too many things to be fair, but I do know it off by heart. I wrote it down very quickly. It's very messy. And that is everything written down. So yeah, the categories just really help me because it really breaks up my day into things I need to do and things I want to do, what I'm focusing on, what I'm prioritising, what I'm just getting off my mind. I really like this system. So hopefully if you're looking to get some more organisation in your to-do list or life or whatever, hopefully this helps you a little bit or gives you some inspiration. The final thing I do with my to-do list is I highlight my categories. So let's start with the beginning. I highlight let's do this in this light blue. I then highlight goals of the day in this deeper blue. I love this colour, it's beautiful. I then, where are we? Oh. Okay, I've left a highlighter. Oh no, I haven't. I found it. I then highlight secondary goals if I have time in this green. And priorities in orange. I don't highlight notes. I highlight other possible hobbies in grey. And finally, I highlight show / podcast / YouTube rota in yellow. So that's basically it. Then I just spend the day ticking things off. With certain tasks, there are some hobbies that span over the course of a few days for me. You know, I get started on it one day and then finish it a few days later. For those, instead of a tick, I put a little line, which to me just means partially done. And then for my show / podcast / YouTube rota, I tick when I've watched one of the things, and each time I watch one of the things I tick it again, and also I write down the episodes that I watched so that I can look back on this and go, oh, that's a good episode. But that is everything. Thank you for joining me on this little cosy organisational video. I've had some technical difficulties recently, so I'm really hoping this one turned out okay. There's probably a few more cuts than I would have hoped for, but that's because my guinea pig has decided to be super active. Anyway, that's by the by. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you use any of these tips and tricks, or if you have any of your own. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all soon.